All right, hey, welcome back to another episode of The Yard. My name is Darryl Scotti, and today I'm joined with co-host, producer, songwriter Aaron Howard, good friend of mine, and a special guest, singer, songwriter, guitarist Eric Ramsey. Before we get started with this episode, we've given you another segment where we talked about Eric's background and his music and what drives him. And now we want to talk about industry challenges. Eric is a singer-songwriter from Scottsdale, Arizona, and we're happy to have him here. Again,
thanks, Darryl.
Thank you so much, man, for your generosity and your time. And it's just so easy to work with you, man.
Oh, I can change that.
Yeah. As soon as the cameras stop rolling, you have
I'll be normal.
Have a good. This is a lot of pressure, Eric. We've been talking a lot about the industry and some of the challenges and what's going on. But in the modern music industry today, what do you find are some of the most difficult challenges that you've overcome? We talked a little bit about that in the last segment, but I'm talking industry now.
Okay.
You know, what's your take on it? And we'll kind of go from there and deep dive into a couple issues that are close to us right now.
You know, my take on the whole music industry is very myopic because I'm self-produced. I don't have an agent. I do all my own booking. And so the things that might be challenges for me wouldn't be challenges for other people who have representation and have a machine. Mm-hmm. My machine is old and clunky and archaic in some ways. But I think the biggest challenge for me is to get people to respond to emails when I send them soliciting gigs.
Jeez.
Honestly, you know. And I wonder, and maybe this is a great question for you guys. Do you think it's better to have someone contact a venue or a festival on your behalf than it is for the artist to do that, him or herself?
I'll give you this example. We recently had an article that ran in the Sun-Times, and very generous writer and an editorial, and it talked about Big Yard Nation, and it talked about our altruistic movement and what we're trying to do, right? I never would have gotten that had I contacted the publication myself. I had my publicist do it, and she nailed it. And she nailed several others that are on their way. So what we're doing now with promoting the record is that we've hired a company out of the United Kingdom to take care of our press and our radio and whatnot. Could I have done that? No. That the record would have sat in the shelves with, you know, and who knows, it might still only get 100 downloads, plays, streams, whatever you want to call it. You know, I come from vinyl, so it's a whole new world for me. But I wanted to leave no stone unturned. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but I think it does take a team. And some are not able to do that, and some are not able to put those resources together. Fortunately, I was able to do that. And now what we want to do is we want to build that up so that we can have that platform for others who don't have the ability to do that. The young aspiring artists, the Eric Ramsey guys that would love to have some support. That's why you're here, man.
Number one, and we mentioned this when we were just chatting earlier before the cameras were rolling, altruistic is not something, that's not a phrase you hear very often in the music business.
It's true.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So Aaron, maybe as a more of a performing songwriter.
My take is complicated. So yes, there are venues, there are entire sets of venues where they're almost only booked by an agent. You might be able to get through if you got 100,000 on social media, and you can get that, and they even read your email, right? So there's an entire set of venues, especially listening rooms, like folk listening rooms and blues listening rooms and things that you have experience with, that it's really, really, really hard to get any response. I don't think it matters as much if you're going for a different kind of thing, if you're going for, restaurants or things like that. For me, I wasn't almost big enough in the world that I wanted to be in to have a good booking agent who could actually get me in those doors. And the way some of those doors broke down for me was simply spending time being in these different environments. So I'm at Folk Alliance, I meet somebody. Folk Alliance International is a thing that's basically about that. It's about meeting bookers and getting gigs. And so I get into a house concert series that leads me to be invited to a festival because somebody who is on the team for the festival is at the house concert. And they were like, wow, so if you're delivering something that's good and you spend 5 years interacting in the circles you want to, yeah. But I mean, as far as cold emailing without an agent for a lot of venues, I think it's almost, it's nearly a non-starter. Yeah, it's very difficult.
I can vouch for that. I'm putting together a tour right now for through Texas and the Southeast down into Florida. Started sending out emails to venues, and I have a lot of colleagues and other performing songwriters that live in that area, so they gave me full-on contact information for the venue booking.
The person,
the actual person. They said, drop my name, whatever. And so I sent out, you send out 100 emails and you hear back 2.
Yeah, 2.
Maybe.
So it could be booker@blackhole.com.
Yep. Yeah, and I have like theories about just you follow up until you get an actual yes or a no, and sometimes that works, but sometimes if you want to do that, you're following up for 3 years until you annoy the person so badly that they respond.
Well,
yeah, and I don't do that.
But I mean, it's like I would say once a month you follow up till you get a yes or no, once or once every 3 weeks or whatever, or until it's too late, until the tour's gonna start a year in advance and just follow up every. I mean, there were some things where I don't know where that practice ranks in terms of how people feel about it, but I think that if you're always polite, never show any sort of distress of any kind to a booking person ever. I believe that. But yeah, I still think it's mostly a black hole without an agent if you're trying to get into the good listening rooms.
You once said to me, well, I had to put a bunch of reels together, and then I started sending my reels out, and he worked with Alex Chacon on getting some good reels, and then he started developing some of his content, and he said, and I just happened to send it to some booking agents, and I got a call from a booking agent that was in a pickle. Am I right? He needed somebody.
That was a moment. That was a really interesting moment where the guy booked me for a really good set of gigs. It was like 24 gigs or something because a dude broke his hand, and that was like my way in the door with that situation. But I was booking successfully. In terms of booking like local gigs, that's a whole different thing. If you're trying to book local listening rooms, you find a band who's got more of a following than you, but not too much more, and you make friends without being the person who's looking for a thing. And then eventually you guys might have, if you have a similar sound, there might be a moment there where you bring together your audiences, or everybody's got similar audiences and there's 5 of you. If you're trying to book money shows, for artists that want to do that, they just want to book money shows, that is something that you can still do. You have to have a little bit of persistence and make the phone calls, but I could play 7 nights a week without local agencies.
So we sort of went down a rabbit hole with the booking thing.
Other challenges?
For me, yeah. If we have time, some of my other challenges, I think, especially as being self-produced and self-promoted and all that stuff, is finding time to do all the social media stuff that you need to do, which I probably do 1/10 of what I'm really supposed to, because it's such a time suck.
Geez.
The social media stuff, following up with agents and or bookings and things like that, trying to be creative. And then if I happen to have a recording project, which I haven't now for a couple of years, I haven't been in the studio for a couple of years. But if you're trying to do any 2 of those things at the same time, you literally have time to sleep and maybe eat.
It does take a village. I totally understand and empathetically, by the way. It's a challenge. I think it's a challenge for everyone. I think anybody that would view this and says, yeah, I have that same problem. I mean, that's just the way it is. Aaron has overcome it, and in a way that he just said, I got to get busy with this, and I'm going to block out this amount of time. I'm going to commit to it for this amount of time. And then he started building his chops in terms of his Instagram, and it's starting to blow up. But, what the cool thing about that with all of this is that once that gets going and it starts to snowball, then A, it'll become easier, or B, you'll attract, you'll either learn or attract how to get it done more efficiently, more effectively, or build your village.
Yeah, I think it's important to note, just in terms of what I'm doing, is one, I have years and years of struggling through all of the little pieces of it. I'm a passable video editor now, but you can ask Alex, that's not an easy job. or a particularly fun one. There are so many things that I learned over the course of like a year and a half that now are like, to some degree, skill sets that I have that I can employ there. And the second thing is with what you said, yeah, I showed up, I got determined, I said I'm going to do this no matter what. But with living any other parts of my life, there are many 5-hour nights of sleep. There are many days when from dawn until bedtime, when I've fallen asleep with my laptop on my lap before just doing that. There's certainly those challenges are incredibly relatable, and I'm not sure that I don't have them so much as that I'm trying to muscle my way past them, and sometimes it makes me cry. So, like absolutely, I'm not joking at all. Like sometimes I get over the edge on a relatively regular basis with the time investment and energy investment required to be a producer for other people, to play. I've reduced it to almost only corporate shows. And it's still just to play the few shows, to be a producer, and to still invest in my own artist career, which is where you talk about using your heart. Giving your heart is a very different thing than what you do to entertain, a corporate crowd or whatever. That artist investment in conjunction with the rest of it, just too much to be sustainable.
So let's, before we get out of this segment, let's talk about overcoming that. Is it accepting it? Is it pivoting? Is it focusing on what is working and letting the rest of it go? I mean, when you get to be my age, you just start to say, listen, I'm not going to swim uphill. I'm gonna try to use resources the best that I can, and if it works, great, and if it doesn't, as long as I'm doing the right thing, right. and if it doesn't, then that's the way it should be. So here it is. Now you're putting, and you're a younger man than I, but you're doing something that is very difficult to do, and then you're trying to wear several hats. So where is that line that you either let it go or accept it or move on or pivot?
Well, I guess if you look back to the advice that we were talking about, aspiring young songwriters I think you just accept what you can do and you do what you're able to at the best you can, and then you let it go. Yeah. And then you get TikTok. No, I don't know. I don't know anything about TikTok, man. That's just another platform. And that's the thing. I felt like I got fairly adept at posting things on Facebook and finding target audiences, and I was getting what I thought was some good response. And then Instagram comes along. Fuck. Okay, so then I think, okay, I'm going to spend some time with Instagram. Not nearly to your level at all, but just trying to post relatively frequently there. Yeah. And you see a little bit of traction there, sure. A little bit. And it's TikTok. Okay, well, I'm not going to do that. I don't care about TikTok. I don't know anything about it. But it's just there will be something else that'll come along, right?
Absolutely. So we talked about that in our fireside.
I think, given my demographic, a lot of the people that come to my shows and followed me and support me are probably Facebook users more so than Instagram users.
Well, that's
so
our demographic,
to spend
man.
More time. Yeah, it is. God love them, right?
But since Meta owns Instagram, I mean, Instagram has skewed so much older now.
Has it?
It really has, yeah.
I don't know.
I feel your pain, man.
You figure it out.
Yeah, but you're doing great, man. You're doing great, and you're going on tour, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That is so excellent, man. Well, be safe when you're out there, man, and go knock them dead, man. Just kill it.
I'll do the best I can. Thanks.
We're going to conclude here this segment here, but I want to let you guys know, part 3 with Eric, he's going to be not only playing live, but we're going to be listening to some of his music. And we're totally excited about that. So stick around. Thank you for joining us today and hanging in there with us. If you liked what you saw with Eric, click on our subscribe button, pass it on to your friends, your family, your pets, your loved ones, your collaborators, and let us know what you think. We do appreciate that. We're trying to spread some love here. So when you're out there getting to wherever it is you're getting to, may all your hopes and all your dreams come true. Love on your fate. Love on your fellow. We're at the Yard right now. We're going to be right back. Peace.